Welcome to Run, Thrive, Survive with me, your host, Sierra Carter, the #1 podcast for your healthy habits for nutrition and exercise, race reviews from special guests, and everyday motivation. And of course, you guys, surviving life together. Are you guys ready? Let's go. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Run, Thrive, Survive with me, Sierra. It's another beautiful day in sunny Florida, and I've got a wonderful guest in another sunny state out in California. So I'm super excited to get to today's podcast because we've got another awesome race review. But first, few announcements. One, I want to thank all the listeners. This past week has been absolutely incredible. Last time I checked, as of this podcast recording, 1,100 downloads in a week. That is incredible. That is awesome for a newer podcast that's only a few months old. So thank you guys so much for, one, listening, and thank you for sharing your comments, your reviews on it. I really appreciate it, and I hope it brings you more joy, and it brings you more help, and it inspires you to go do fun things that you never thought you could do. So that was the first announcement. And the second announcement is I've got a really cool podcast coming out about a superfood coming up next week. And it's one of those that if you're a runner, this is actually going to benefit you pretty well because there's a lot of cool studies on it and how it's actually increasing performance like 1 to 3%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're plateauing and you can't get past something, there's just this one food that might be able to help you, and it's natural and it's healthy for you. So that's just one thing to look out for ahead. But now that I got those special announcements out of the way, I want to go ahead and bring our beautiful guest in, Jackie Bustos. She is in California right now, and she's 3 hours behind me, so it's such a weird time difference. I want her to introduce herself, who she is, why she loves vacation races, and why she even got into running in the first place. Welcome, Jackie. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Hi, Sierra. Thanks for inviting me. And congratulations on the success of your podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. Awesome guests like you is what have really made the podcast just blossom in the past week or two. So it's really cool to see the growth. But I want to introduce you into this podcast. Who are you, Jackie? And why do you love running like us crazy runners? Why do we love running?
Yeah, well, I started running when I was a kid, actually. When I was about 4 or 5 years old, wow. My family would go running at the park and the trails all around Los Angeles. So I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and I have 3 brothers and a sister, and my dad was our running coach. And I grew up in Northeast LA, and my dad's like a working class dad. He was a mechanic, and when he'd get home from work, he would come and pick up all the kids, and we'd go run trails, and we would train like crazy amounts of miles, like 5 days a week, and then we would race on Saturdays. And this was back in the 70s. Like there would be races in the Los Angeles parks, cross-country races for kids, and so that's how I got involved with running. And my family, all my siblings, we all did really well in running. Probably like through elementary school was the span of my, cross country running career. But it was just something I just loved, running with them. And we'd run like 3 to 5 miles a day out in Griffith Park or parks all over Los Angeles. So that's how I started my love of running. And then like in middle school and high school, I still was good at running. I do well in like our co-ed PE classes. I beat the boys and stuff. But I started to develop asthma and got into some other things like swimming and cheer. And I kind of put running aside until just recently, actually, like about 5 or 6 years ago. I picked it back up when I'm a mom. And I'd gotten really busy with my life as a mom, and I'm a teacher as well. So I was just so lost in that, being a mom and working full time. And just several years ago, I was looking for, the things that I enjoyed again. And I was reconnecting with some old high school friends, and one of my friends asked me like, what do you do for fun? and I couldn't even answer the question. Like I literally had forgotten what I did for fun or what I even enjoyed anymore. So that's when I just remembered, like, oh yeah, running. I love running. And one of my high school girlfriends invited me to run an awesome 80s race. So it was like one of those silly novelty races, I call them, where you dress up and wear a costume and you run like a 5K.
Oh, there's so many of those.
So,
I love those.
Yeah, so that's how I got back into running with her. And she just kept inviting me to more 5Ks, and we just kept reconnecting and running some more and more. And before I knew it, I was running like a 5K every month or so. And then I started getting really good at them and like winning my age group, and then I was hooked. So that's how I started racing again just 5 years ago. So I was running a lot of those just fun, silly races, like the Day of the Dead race in downtown LA, where you paint your face like a skeleton, and
just
silly
1st.
races like that, having just a good time.
Yeah.
And then I slowly got into longer distances, and
I was going to ask you about that.
I'd go running with my brother, who kind of pushed me to run like 10Ks. And then after I got, comfortable with that distance, then I was like, what else could I be doing? I was getting pretty good. And that's when I started hitting the trails, and that's when I learned about vacation races, actually.
So cool.
And I heard about their Coastal Redwoods Trail Fest, which they've only done one time. And I discovered this whole world of stage races through vacation races and through their Trail Fest events. So, so my very first trail race was, they had one in the Coastal Redwoods. And they had 3 races, 3 half marathons over 3 days. And I was like, oh, cool. I read the descriptions of each of these 3 races. And I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this one race to go run to be my first half marathon. So I showed up to this weekend of running thinking, okay, I'm going to run my Saturday race. And there was camping involved and lots of runners. And then I was like, here, wait a minute. What are these people doing? Like, I thought each of us was just going to choose one race to run. And no, these people were all running like they would run on Friday, and then they would race again on Saturday, and then they would race again on Sunday. And this concept was totally new to me, that crazy people do this. So
was it all half marathons? Did they every single day it was a half marathon?
Yeah, it was about a half marathon. Wow. And so that was my first trail race, was at the Coastal Redwoods Trail Fest. And then I just, was like, wow, this is such a cool concept. So then about 6 months later, I did Grand Circle Trail Fest, which is in the Arizona, kind of Utah border. And they do a Bryce race, a Zion race, and a Grand Canyon race close to the Horseshoe Bend area. And at that race, I ran 2 of the races, and now I've worked up to running like all 3. And so cool. That's been my experience. But I've just gotten, just so hooked on vacation races. They do such a wonderful job. I've, just started learning about the races that were closest to me, like Joshua Tree, through vacation races, cool. Lake Powell, and just several of them, and Glacier. Glacier was a little farther away, and I started getting into, okay, well, now I'm not going to just drive to races. I can fly to races. So then I checked out Glacier, and I've done other non-vacation races that I've flown to. Like I've done the marathon in Oahu, the Honolulu Marathon. I've done that. I've flown to that. I've flown to Florida and done races there. So yeah, I just love traveling and exploring new places through running.
Yeah, no, I want to point out something, and I think I pointed out on a lot of the podcasts, but it's such us runners, where we start with the 5K and we're like, this is nice, and we kind of get good with the 5K, and then we go to the 10K and we're like, this is really nice, and then we're like, oh, now we're hooked on the half marathon, and then we get into some crazy group where we're like, you guys run that often, you know, like 13 miles for 3 days straight. That's kind of weird. And then you start to become the crazy like rubs off on you. And it's like the longer you run, the crazier you get. And then when did you do your first marathon? When was that?
Oh, that was just a couple of years ago. That was about 2 years ago, I believe.
Escalated quickly.
So, and then I would have done it again, but I think because of COVID, they canceled it. And yeah, just you're right. It really becomes addictive. You become kind of those people that you hang around. And through vacation races, I've made friends with these ultra runners.
They're crazy.
And I've crewed for them, like at the Antelope Canyon Ultras or just different races. And you get to know people. And before you know it, you know, you're running 50 miles. So that's been my longest distance so far. It was my birthday a couple of months ago.
Cool.
And so for my 50th birthday, I ran 50 miles at the Grand Canyon from rim to rim to rim. So that's my longest distance to date. But it wasn't a race because, you know, there weren't races going on at the time. So I had to figure out something to do. And my friend who runs ultras was like, oh, here's an idea for you. Let's go run 50 miles. So that was really incredible.
So you did that voluntarily? I have that. Wait a minute.
I was thinking I could run like, I don't know, for, you know, a 50K or something. But my friend came up with this idea and I was like, you know what? That sounds pretty amazing. And, you know, when you can find a friend who's willing to go do something like that with you, just do it. You know, you just have to go for it. We only live once. And yeah, you just have to go for it.
No, and that's such a good point. And I think that's why a lot of us flock to the vacation races, because I've seen like they're getting more ultras, they're getting a lot more longer races, but we flock to the vacation races because we realize, well, you know, we only have one life to live. I'm going to go run around these places that most people see by car. And that's what makes them so powerful. So it's just such a different view of the world. And it's just, you're on foot. Like, it can't get better than that. It can't get more connected. Maybe going a little bit faster on foot than a walker, but you're still seeing it. It's just incredible. Yeah. Now, because I know we're going to focus on Glacier today. When you picked out Glacier, what were you expecting? Like when you signed up for that race, have you ever been to Glacier, or did you just sign up for it to go there?
I had never been there before, and one of my friends was, you know, just told me, hey, we're going to go do Glacier. Let's go. And I just trusted his opinion. He actually crews for vacation races. He's on the crew for them. So he was like, this is an amazing place. We're going to go do this. So I didn't even read the course materials or even look at the elevation map or anything until like a couple weeks before. Booked my ticket and just went for it. And, you know, absolutely. I kind of like that, though. I like going into a race, not looking at the elevation map and not, you know, reading too much. I kind of like going in a little bit blind. But, yeah, I had no idea what I was getting into at all. And it turned out great. Right. And I like surprises, you know. There's not too many times in life you are going to be surprised. So I try to keep those secrets just, you know, in the dark a little bit until closer to race day. Then I'll be like, oh, here, wait, should I have been doing some hill repeats or something to get ready for this? You know? Right. But just fun to be surprised.
It's fun. I'm very much like you when it comes to racing. I don't look up the course. Like I have friends, they study the course map. They know what's at mile 8. They know what's at mile 10. And I just go out hoping for the best, thinking it'll be fun. I'll just see what obstacles come ahead. Of course, I'm a little bit different here. I'm sure over in California, you have a little bit more hills. You're able to train in like hills or somewhere else. I don't really have a way to train for hills, so I am surprised every time I go out somewhere else outside of Florida. So because everything's so flat here. Now, because you're surprised, what did your training look like? When you train, do you kind of just keep a base level of fitness and you're ready for half marathons? Or how do you get ready for these half marathons, especially Glacier?
Yeah, I try to just stay half marathon ready at all times because of who my friends are. Right. You know, get these last minute invitations to go run races. And so I just basically have to be ready just at any time. So I'll usually run like on a weekday, like 3 to 5 miles, maybe 3 days out of the like Monday through Friday. and then a longer run on the weekends that could be anywhere from like 5 to 13 miles. And also I try not to, like, I don't follow any plans, and like I just really run for the joy of running. And I just remember that feeling of being like a child and just like kicking ass, like just, just running and feeling like I could run forever.
Absolutely.
And like never being out of breath, and like running with my dog and being with my family as a kid, So like you will never see me wearing like a Garmin or telling you what my pace was. Like I don't even know.
Wow.
People ask me like, what was your best, 5K time? I couldn't even tell you. So I don't really follow like a training plan, like maybe I could or should, but that's just what works for me, and it's been working out pretty well. But I do try to, like if I know there's going to be a race like in sand, then I'm going to go run at Santa Monica Beach through the sand and like prepare myself a little bit. Like I don't go crazy about stuff like that, but like, for example, when I ran Joshua Tree, I knew that race was going to be primarily sand, so I did go and run at the beach. Or when I knew, Glacier was coming up, I went and did like some hill repeats just by my house, that sort of thing. Right. Or went and ran the stairs in Calabasas. There's like a hidden Calabasas hidden stairs, so I went and ran those. And it's pretty amazing. Like if you do a little research and you are the kind of person who reads up on like what the course and the terrain's going to be like, you can, prepare yourself. Absolutely. And be, feel a little bit more prepared. Absolutely. If you want to be.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. But pointing out right there what you said, when you have friends that are just kind of ready to run and be randomly invited to things, once you run that first half marathon, if you keep up running, you feel like you're ready to run it no matter what. You just have to kind of get that first initial half marathon out of your way. And as long as you keep up, just keep up with your fitness, 3 to 5 miles every couple of days throughout the week, mentally, I can do another half, even if it's just on a whim, randomly 4 days before you sign up. So that is something huge to point out to anybody that's considering running their first half. Once you do one, you're going to be addicted, and 2, you're going to be ready for other ones. You're not going to just, unless you stop running, that's a little bit different, but you're going to be ready as long as you keep that nice baseline of fitness. I absolutely love it. So
yeah, exactly. That's so true. And anybody can do it. I know, like, we've encouraged so many friends who are just working at the expo or just hanging around the races, middle-aged moms or people who are out of shape, or, somebody's dad who just happened to be there, like, hey, come run with us. And we've gotten them to do it, and they can absolutely do it at their own pace. And that's another great thing about vacation races. Yes, there are people who are amazing there, who are, just really amazing runners, but there's people of all fitness levels that you'll see walking the course or doing a walk run, and anybody can run.
And that's the most rewarding part of just being at these races. You see people of all levels crossing that finish line. Everybody's cheering each other on. It's such a cool environment to be on, and everybody's in that beautiful, ready to go hiking afterwards environment too. So coming up right after this break, we're going to get right into what you focused on, or how the race was itself, and what you did after the race. Because I know a lot of us are starting to look for hikes and ideas, where to go, where to eat, where to, what hikes are worth it. Because there's like 100 hikes at Glacier, and you're going to have a short amount of time. So we're going to see what you did. And these pictures are gorgeous. So I can't wait to start talking about them. So right after this break, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, we are back from that short break. Thank you so much for listening so far. I guess I was going to say listening to our sponsor of the day, but you know, whatever. Thank you for everything. So we're going to be back here and we're going to be talking about what running Glacier was like, because I know we're all dying to hear about it, what the course was like. And I wanted to make a quick side note. When you're running vacation races, you are not running inside the park. It does say that on the vacation race when you sign up. So don't get your expectations. You're going to be running on the trails inside the park. But around the park is seriously just as gorgeous. And I know she's got gorgeous pictures and she knows how this trail is. So I'm going to just go ahead, hand it all over to her and let her tell us what it was like from start to finish. What were her thoughts and what did she want to do differently? Go ahead, Jackie.
All right. So the Glacier Half Marathon, I just remember it being like a super early start. I think I was looking at the website for the upcoming race, and they start running at 6 a.m. So I think the shuttles were like, super early in the morning, and it was cold and everybody had their jackets on, and it was, sun was just coming up type of situation. So it was very cold. So I'd suggest, just wearing like your light windbreaker, maybe some leggings. And something great about vacation races is that they usually have a clothing drop off, like around the first really 8 nice. Stations. So after you warm up in that first mile or so, you can start shedding your clothes, throw it in the truck, and they will make sure that clothing item makes it to the finish line for you. And so that was a good thing because it was cold that morning. I remember wearing leggings, and it's an uphill climb. Like wow. The first 5 miles of that race is just steep uphill, and just the sound of the racers and their feet on the asphalt was amazing. And, there was no conversation going on. People are just huffing. You could just hear the breathing.
Yeah.
And, you mentioned that the race is outside the park, but it's on tribal land. So this is like a beautiful scenic road that's, I believe it's Blackfoot is the tribe.
Yes.
And it's just a very scenic road that, not everybody's going to be on. This Absolutely. Is an amazing road to be running on. And I'd say about 95% of the course is on road. And as you're climbing, you have these beautiful, mountain views. The elevation, I believe, is 5,000 feet at the starting line. And it's like 1,000 feet of gain. Oof. So it's pretty intense.
It's intense.
And, there's some people walking it and others running it. I was really proud of myself that I stayed, bouncing and running the whole way up. And when you hit that mile marker, whatever it was, like the 5th mile or 6th mile, whatever it was, it's just, you can hear people like just going, just letting out that sigh of relief. Yeah, it was Absolutely. Such an amazing feeling. And of course, because it's vacation races, they've got, a photographer on the course at the most scenic spot. Good. And as you're running by, because you are running so slowly, you are going to get so many amazing pictures from that photographer because you're moving so slow. They have lots of chances to get good shots of you. Oh, and that's another suggestion I'd say is, all of these vacation races, they're not like a race that you're trying to get a PR on. Like you're right. doing this race for the views. So my biggest tip would be to stop and take the damn picture.
Yes.
Every chance you get. If you see a beautiful spot, stop and take the picture because there's so many beautiful things to see. And when the race is over, you are going to want to look back at your gorgeous pictures. I ran that race by myself, and my friend was running also, but he was way, way ahead of me. So I was alone and just, snapping pictures wherever I could after I got through those first 5 miles. And then after those initial 5 miles, I was thinking, okay, this is going to be downhill now, right? No, not quite. There are some rolling hills still. And, so there's, some little hills hill surprises here and there, even after that initial climb. But it's just gorgeous. And I just remember the members of the Blackfoot tribe were on their, whatever their little vehicles are. And they were just like zooming past us and like, just assisting runners or, assisting on the course. And it was just like a really comfortable race as far as like, even though it was uphill, I believe there were plenty of water aid stations. And, the vacation races are all cupless races. So you have to provide your own hydration system or have a cup that you can just refill at their different aid stations. But I just remember feeling like I had plenty of water. The day before the race, it had, like overnight, it had rained. So it didn't rain during the race. But then after the race, in that late afternoon, it rained. And then the following day, it rained. So just be aware, there's lots of rain in that area of the country. And so you should be prepared for it. Because I think I got lucky the year that I ran it, that there wasn't rain. Running in the rain is a whole nother story. I mean, I love that as well. But there wasn't rain on the actual race day. But that might be something you might want to just have in the back of your mind, if that's a factor.
Bring the ponchos, bring the raincoats.
Of course. Beautiful course. Towards the end of the course, it ends like, I'd say less than a mile, alongside this like golf course / resort. And you're running along this trail and then alongside the golf course. And then you enter into this kind of like resort area where the finish line is. And it just kind of sneaks up on you and then bam, you're there. And it's like a big party and just like a beautiful green lush lawn to hang out after the race. So the race itself is beautiful. You can get lots of gorgeous pictures there, but even more so than the race itself. I just loved all the hikes that I got to do before and after, which weren't too many. Like I think a lot of people who travel to vacation races, you're taking a break from your life. So it's usually, maybe you're taking off early from work, maybe ditching work on a Friday so you can travel and then race on Saturday and then hurry back to your job on Monday. Right. Or anyways, that's how our life seems to work. So
that's almost, it was a lot. Like that's very common.
A lot of rushing around to get to do some of the cool hikes before and after, but the race itself was a great race. But I mean, a race is only a few hours, right? And so I think that's another great reason to choose the Glacier Half Marathon, because any race you run is just going to be a few hours, but there's nothing like Glacier National Park.
Now, when you went there, before we talk about the trails that you went on, because I can't wait. Oh, can you hear me?
You're kind of chopping in and out, so repeat that.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we talk about what trails you went on, where did you stay and how did you get there? Because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere in Montana in a way. I know it's in Kalispell, or outside of Kalispell, but I mean it's about 2 hours outside of Kalispell when you get to the main entrance.
Right. So I did fly into Kalispell, Montana, and I rented a car. And I would suggest definitely sticking with like one of the major car rental companies, like your Hertz or your Dollar, one of those, because I've had experiences not on this race, but at other races where you get into kind of some shady situations. Just stick with your big brands.
Well, right now U-Haul's a big brand. Because there's no rental cars for people. They're renting U-Hauls now. Yeah. So that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, the year that I went, rental cars were so affordable, but yeah, I understand that's a big issue now.
Cross my fingers for
everybody. Getting into several $100s or over $1,000 for a few days rental, from what I hear these days. So we stayed at a place called Bison Creek Ranch, and the way that I got connected with that hotel motel is through this club on Facebook called Running Adventure Club. And there is a gentleman by the name of Eric Sorensen who runs this Facebook group called Running Adventure Club. And this gentleman, I think he's retired or just like really gotten time on his hands, and he loves planning these running group events. And he does like all the planning for several of these vacation races. So he'll plan like the lodging, he'll plan like a meal the day before the race, he'll plan like a breakfast at the hotel the morning of the race. So that's how I found out where to stay, because there's just some people who are really good at those logistics, and I'm not that kind of person. So it's been really awesome to connect with this guy. And he has a Facebook group, and for every vacation race, he has a Facebook event, and he's got all the details like just planned for you and planned beautifully. Like the hotels are right by the starting line or right by the finish line. And he charges $10 for a year membership, which is so worth it. He's like your personal travel agent, basically.
How neat.
So yeah, that's been the best find. I'm trying to think of how I even met him. I don't even know, but
that's incredible.
He has hooked me so many times for so many different vacation races. And this year I was supposed to do Glacier again and stay at the Mountain Pine Hotel, which it's either close to the start or finish line, because this again is through this gentleman, Eric Sorensen. So he just finds the best places to stay. He negotiates an awesome deal with them. So that's how I found the places that I've stayed. And just something about, just like a word of, I don't know, caution or warning about these hotels in the Glacier area. These are not like chain hotels. This is not the Ritz. This is not the Beverly Hills Hotel.
Right.
These are like family run cabins, and you might see a cobweb. You might see like maybe the water's not going to be warm in the morning because all the runners are getting showered, or you just have to be really flexible and just know that where you're spending the night is just a place to close your eyes and get some rest.
Absolutely.
And don't be picky, or you're not going to have a good time. And and that's got to be your attitude on your whole weekend too, because this area is pretty isolated. I don't know if you had the same experience there, but like I know, like I'm a vegan. I didn't find any food to eat the whole time, but I didn't care, because the beauty of the place is what you're going for. I don't care if all I had was water all weekend. It was worth it because
so pretty up there.
Of the beauty of the place,
Absolutely.
And anytime you see, like if you're driving down the road and you see like a gas station, go in there and like buy a banana, because that might be the only food that you're going to see for the whole day.
Yeah, it's
there
so true.
aren't a whole lot of restaurants or yummy food that I came across.
No.
So just be prepared with your snacks. I mean, pack your snacks from home, and you'll be all right. And just keep your expectations in check, that this is not like some big city or a place where you're going to experience like cuisine and stuff, because it's not. And but like at that hotel at the Bison Creek Ranch, it was cabins, and this gentleman, Eric Sorensen, he arranged for them to provide like a really big spread of breakfast. I fast in the morning, so I didn't touch the food.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a really great spread provided to the runners, and so that's another great thing that you get when you if you participate with this running adventure club.
Cool. Now going on to the trails that you did, which ones did you end up doing? Was this also part of the running group, or did you just find them yourself?
No, this was on our own. My friend and I, he had been there a few times before. So right after the race, we basically hopped in the rental car, and we went to the Grinnell Glacier Trail that he had done before.
Real quick, I know we have that picture. I just want to pull up a picture from... So you can keep talking. We're just going to pull up the picture.
Yeah. So that's a trail that's 11 miles. And I'm trying to think if this might be let me see. Is this the stop motion one? I mean, that's a different one, but that's okay. We can talk about that one too. This was the day after the race. This one's actually Trail of Cedars to Avalanche Lake. This was on the day after the race. This was on Sunday. before flying back. So before going to the airport, we were like, okay, we got to get in another, another trail. And this trail, 7.7 miles, and it has these streams, and you're running on trails for part of the way, or on these like redwood decks. And if you just like look at it, it's just lush, lush, lush. This is my friend.
Wow, yeah, if you're listening to this, there is a video going on, and you can check it over on my YouTube. But seriously, it's just so gorgeous. It looks a little bit cold there. It looks like a little bit rainy, but you know what? It just looks refreshing, honestly, coming from Florida.
Yeah, and it wasn't like too muddy. Like
Right.
It wasn't like a mud fest.
Right.
Like the ground was hard enough that it wasn't like, slippery, or like your shoes getting like full of
Right.
like sticky mud. It was gorgeous.
It does look a little bit
And,
crowded, though,
just
on the
packing extra
paths.
clothes because of all of the, because it was
Absolutely.
a wet weekend.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
a downpour, but we
Definitely.
ran in it, me. And just have your lightest raining gear so it dries
Right.
quickly. My friend was running in sandals. He's a barefoot runner,
Wow.
and so he was running in
That's
sandals.
incredible. Now, the next
And,
video.
Beautiful trail.
Wow.
That's one I would highly recommend.
So this is also Glacier.
And
So,
that's a popular trail. So you saw there were a lot of people on there. This is actually the drive to the expo.
Oh, wow.
So this is after landing in Kalispell, and my friend
is
said, "Oh, here,
awesome.
let's do this time lapse to the campground."
That's pretty cool.
So that's what that is there.
All right, and then our next video, let's see if we can come up with another trail.
Oh, this is
Ooh.
Grinnell Glacier. So this is the trail that we did right after the race. We went driving to the trailhead, and it's an 11-mile trail. We didn't make it the whole way. I only did about 6.5 to 7 miles. But like being a California girl, like I don't even understand this concept of like climbing a mountain and then you see a lake, right?
Oh my gosh.
And then
it's
you
so
continue on that trail, and then there's like another lake.
Pretty. Oh, God, so pretty.
And then you continue higher up, and there's like another lake. So
Wow.
it's just
Wow.
an amazing experience, to be on those trails. It's like that Grinnell Glacier Trail, I would highly, highly recommend. It's like so scenic. It's like being in a
Absolutely.
fairy tale, and there's just so much like lush greenery and fresh air, and of course it rained.
So out of your top 3 trails, what should people focus on when they go there? What would your top 3 trails be? Even if we didn't pull it up
Well-
here on the video.
Well, for sure, the Grinnell Glacier Trail, that would be my number one. And there were bear sightings there. And we
No big deal.
actually came across a hiker who was walking towards us who said, turn around, there's a bear on the trail. So
Right.
we turned around, and then the people behind us turned around, the people behind them. So there were probably
That's
like
hilarious.
a stack of about 10 of us trying to figure out what to do. But, the bears were no bother. Like we
Right.
waited like 15 minutes, and then we just went ahead. So yeah, that trail was absolutely stunning. And then the other one that we did, the one where we had that long time lapse in
Yes.
the rain, that was Trail of Cedars to Avalanche Lake.
Pretty.
And those were the only 2 trails we had time for. That was it.
But they were
but
so pretty.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It was so gorgeous, both of those. And both times we got rained on, but I wouldn't change it for
Absolutely.
the world. It was just so beautiful. And like on Grinnell Glacier Trail, as we were on the trail, it starts raining, and then the trail turns into a stream. And then
Ooh,
I kind of looked over my shoulder, and there was like double rainbows, and
it's so cool.
just so much beauty that you wouldn't experience if it wasn't raining.
Absolutely.
If there weren't clouds, and then there wouldn't be rain.
And I
there
think
wouldn't
the
be
rain.
clouds if it wasn't for the rain. So
Right.
I've seen other people's pictures on that trail. Like if you look up on the All Trails app, which by the
Yes.
way, big shout out to All Trails app. I love that app. definitely highly recommend it for not getting lost out in Mother Nature.
Right.
But I've seen other people's pictures of Grinnell Glacier Trail at different times of the year, or Trail of Cedars other times of the year.
Right.
And it looks like a whole different place.
Doesn't
So,
it? Wow.
you know, no matter what the weather, you're going to have just the most beautiful
Absolutely.
memories of this beautiful place.
Now, just kind of wrapping it up for all the runners listening and getting ready because it's coming up. It's honestly about a month and
Yeah.
a half away. What would your big advice takeaway be? Just if you can say one thing to them, if they've run it, if they haven't run it, what would a big advice takeaway be to all the runners getting ready for it or wanting to do it?
Yeah, well, definitely. I'm a person who, like, race day morning, I get very nervous, and I mean, I sleep good the night before, but just, you know, just get yourself on there on time for the shuttles so you can start your race, you know, just not feeling rushed or having to wait for the
Absolutely.
bathrooms or that sort of thing. So that's one big thing I would say. And then the other thing is, like I mentioned earlier, just stopping to take pictures, because
Absolutely.
this is not a race you're going to PR on. So just stop and take the pictures and, you know, just have a good time.
Absolutely. I love it. So, well, that is about all we have time for today. Thank you, Jackie, so much for coming on and talking about Glacier. I am craving going back because I was there. I didn't get to run the race, but I want to run that race. So maybe 2022, I'll be back up there. So thank you so much for giving your awesome insight. Now, if people want to follow you and see other runs that they are going to do, can they follow you on social media? Do you have a social media you want to plug in here?
Sure. Yeah, I'm on Instagram primarily. So it's at the Jackie Busto. So
Awesome.
the word the, and then just Jackie, JACKIEBUSTOS is my Instagram handle.
And we look forward to watching you run other races. So
Thanks
thank you,
so much,
Jackie, for
Sarah.
coming on. Thank you. And if you are listening to this podcast and you enjoyed today's podcast, please like and subscribe and also leave a review. Reviews are going to help us grow and bring more people, bring more content, bring everything, more inspiration to you, to your friends, and whoever else you want to share it to. So share it with your friends, share it with your coworkers, and share it with your family, and inspire them to go run one of these vacation races or a race in general. So I like to say Run, Thrive, Survive is all about learning to run our lives before life runs us, and that's exactly what I want you to do. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on YouTube, and follow me on Facebook at The Runpreneur on Instagram, Sierra Carter on YouTube, and Run, Thrive, Survive on Facebook. Other than that, that's all I've got for you guys today. So get out there, run your lives before life runs you. Bye, guys.